I consider this unacceptable. Don't include that. You need to be able to trust that there's not a setting on some piece of gear that you have that day that will completely ruin the footage for the day. What's going on, YouTube? Today we are talking about my must-have accessories before I go out the door with my Nikon ZR. Yes, I will be saying Nikon ZR. I'm switching from Nikon ZR because I realize that that's how a lot of Americans say it, but it's not necessarily the right way to say it. We're gonna talk everything. We're gonna talk memory cards, we're gonna talk lenses, we're gonna talk cages, we're gonna talk gimbals, cleaning cloths, literally everything you could think of. So I'll put links to everything down in the description below so you can get your hands on them. These are the things that I trust. They work well for me. So you know what to do. It's YouTube. Like, subscribe, click the bell. Let's get into it. Just to be clear, this is not a cinema rig build. This is like a run and gun client sports video, talking head, talking and walking home tour type of setup. So you gotta start with power, because if you don't have power, you don't have a camera. Even though the Nikon ZR has amazing battery life, I've gotten through full 3-4 hour shoots without draining an entire battery. So that's great. However, you always need to bring backups just in case. So the company I trust is K&F Concept. They have their series of EN-EL15 or 15 batteries. And you can get a 2-pack of these on Amazon. I'll put a link down in the description below. They charge pretty quickly. They come with their own charger, which is great. And that charger is USB-C or micro USB compatible. So you don't have to worry about bringing the specific cable that you need. And yeah, that's what I use for batteries. I've never had a problem with these. And that's good news for batteries. What more do you want? No news is good news. Let's move on. Now you could dive into a rabbit hole when it comes to lenses, and there are probably as many opinions as there are Nikon ZR shooters, but I'm just telling you what I use when I need to be flexible out and about on a shoot with a client, and that is the Nikon Nikkor DX16-50. It's a 3.5, and look, 16mm on a full frame is as wide as most people will ever need, certainly as wide as I would ever need. And of course you get the 50mm full frame classic look and everything in between. So it's great, it's lightweight, it is a native lens, the autofocus is fast as anything, and tracking is great as well. So look no further than this. I do have a ND filter on here. We will talk about that later. But this is a really good get up and go lens where you can be confident you have your 35, you have your 24, you have your 50, and you have your 16 with autofocus and great performance. So can't recommend that one enough. Let's move on. Now we have to talk cards. This is a critical piece of equipment for your gear, especially the Nikon ZR is known for having R3D. That's right, red raw on this compact mirrorless cinema hybrid camera. Now the camera records to CF Express Type B, and don't ask why, but micro SD. But there are limitations to your micro SD recording. You can do H.265 and lower bitrate options and 4K flavors, but you can't do the full intense red raw 6K internal. So I do bring a micro SD card as a backup. I use SanDisk, and I'm not knocking the H.265, which looks great on the Nikon ZR. I'm more talking about micro SD, but I use that on smaller projects, but certainly for bigger projects, I'm shooting on CF Express Type B to red raw. Now I've used 3 brands on my ZR so far, and they've worked incredibly well. I've had literally no issues with any of the cards so far. I've been able to max out their capacity with no dropped frame rates, no write speed issues, and then they're basically PCIe, so I plug them in and even edit off of these with no issues. Now obviously that's going to increase the amount of wear and tear on your cards, but I use a Sabrent 512 gigabyte card, and that's great, solid, tried and true, no issues. Now next I went with a brand that I'm pretty certain not a lot of people have heard of, which is Chip Fancier. That's right, Chip Fancier. And it's got a 512 gigabyte card. Hey, look, I mean, the name's a little funny, but the performance is solid. It's right up there with the Sabrent. That's their Gold Force. You really don't want to drop those too much. Anyway, that's their Gold 4 series. And then last but not least, in fact, the most, I would trust this the most out of my cards, SanDisk Pro Cinema. I recommend getting an OWC, very trusted brand, or a SanDisk, regardless of capacity, just for those scenarios where you have a shot that you absolutely need to get and you cannot have anything fail at all because you got one shot. Do not miss your chance to I'm gonna stop. For the cage, I'm using a small rig. Do I recommend a cage? Yes, absolutely get a cage. It has saved me so many times. You would think you would baby this camera, and I do baby all my gear, but accidents happen. And you don't want it to get crushed, or if it takes a fall, like you need a cage on this camera, all right? On any camera, really. And I'm using a small rig. Honestly, I haven't used every brand, but every brand that I've used, it's an aluminum cage. It works. As long as it doesn't bend on you, it's fine. Now, there are accessories that come with this version. Again, I'll put the links to everything down in the description below. It does have a cable clamp, which comes in handy because the Nikon ZR has micro HDMI. So you're gonna need to clamp that down, not the sturdiest of cables. In addition to the cable clamps, it has a ton of mounting points. It has a cold shoe. It even extends the grip, which I appreciate a lot. The ZR has a awful grip, and so this allows you to one-hand the camera with confidence. Another brand that you probably have never heard of, but I'm telling you, I use this for every single shoot. It is reliable as anything, and the battery life is crazy long. I'm talking 4-hour shoots and maybe one bar of a 4-bar battery reduced. With the ZR, I've used it with the Pocket 6K, which is way more awkward. Maybe 2 bars max, but you are getting all day battery life with this. This is none other than the Feiyutech AK2000C, all right? And it's gorgeous with the wood inlay. Check that out. Comes with your stand. All right, you've also got USB charging on the side, USB-C charging on the side, so I can even power my camera or a monitor from the internal battery, and so that's probably why they gave it the beefy battery. But with the Nikon ZR's built-in 4-inch 1000-nit display, I don't need to power anything else, and with the ZR's battery life, I never need to plug it in anyway. So I'm good to shoot all day with this gimbal. It's a 3-axis gimbal. It has a joystick. It has camera control via the USB-C on the top of the arm, so you can actually plug it right into your camera and not have to like touch or mess with your camera to get it to record and switch certain modes. I can go from video mode to photo mode and obviously hit record, start, and stop. And then for other things like follow speed, calibration, payload settings, all that I can control from the touchscreen. The touchscreen's legit. It looks like an 8-bit screen, but it functions. I can read it even in broad daylight and switch my settings if needed. So this is the real steal, probably, of the entire video. I said I was going to come back to filters, and that brings me to an unfortunate and sad portion of this video, and that is a horrible experience I had with the K&F nano-k series on my Nikkor 16-50 lens. I was out shooting, run and gun. I was using this all day, just setting it to where it looked good. I was shooting in RAW, so the screen was bland looking and I couldn't see extreme colors. However, when I got the footage back into the editing suite and I loaded it up, the footage was ruined. And what do I mean by ruined? There was a blue color shift on the top left and bottom right of all the footage that I used. I consider this unacceptable. So you see how on this ND filter there is a blue coating on it, and on this one there isn't. It's just black, jet black. This has an infinitely rotating crown, you could call it, or infinitely rotating ring. And when you get past 400, it actually color shifts the top corners of your footage to blue. Now, as a professional, I find this unacceptable. And maybe you're in the comments saying, well, that's user error. You shouldn't rotate it to that level. To that, I kind of say, I don't accept that. If there is a level of rotation that completely bricks someone's footage on your lens filter, don't include that. I actually ended up buying one that was just like that. So you see with this one, okay, it actually locks in the wide open position. You can kind of see the lens there. So that's the wide open position. It won't rotate anymore. And then if I rotate it all the way the other way, it locks into 400, never allowing you to potentially ruin your footage. And on a bright, sunny day, I shoot a lot on beaches and I shoot a lot in sunny environments. Even on cameras with internal NDs, there's not a setting that involves bricking your footage with color shift. And it took me such a long time to color correct. And because I was shooting in so many different environments that day, I couldn't just like correct it, make a LUT, and then apply that to all the footage. it was a nightmare scenario, and it was a big shoot. So I was not happy with that. You may have a different opinion. You may say, oh, well, I would just never do that. When you are on a shoot and you've got so many different things happening at one time, you need to be able to trust that there's not a setting on some piece of gear that you have that day that will completely ruin the footage for the day. Thus, you might be wondering, well, what lens filter do you use? And this is an Ultimax. It's part of their Studio series. It's an ND2 to ND400, same as the K&F concept, but it does have that locking rotation, not infinitely, so you cannot ruin your footage by twisting it just a few degrees over what 400 would be. And then it also has no blue AR coating of any kind. But one quick note on K&F concept, these little cleaning cloths that their products come with are amazing. I just buy them up, I put them in my bag, and if I ever have a dirty lens or even a dirty camera screen, I will clean it with one of these. Very good product. Screen protectors. What? No, this isn't a different shirt. Okay, you want to know the truth? I thought I finished the video and I forgot about the screen protector, so I didn't want to change my shirt. So I just kept the shirt that I changed back to, and that's it. Okay? It's not a different day. It's just a different shirt. Honestly, these things are so cheap that it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, in my mind. And I think that has saved me a lot of times. Even if you're just using a tool to rig something up, or you got a piece of gear, or something that just hits right past the screen. And yes, of course, we always try to be very careful, but sometimes you're working with other people. Sometimes you think you can grab something and not miss the shot, and then next thing you know, who knows? Miss your shield. Mr. Shield. It comes in a 3-pack, so that's good. They're already cheap, but now you're saving even more. 9H hardness, HD transmission. Oh yeah, there's an installation pack in there with your alcohol swabs and stuff. Screen protectors, all right, last but certainly not least, let's talk audio. I've got a really cool gadget here. Audio is arguably the most important thing right after video when it comes to the gear that you're gonna need. And for the type of work that I do, more often than not, wireless audio is the name of the game. So I've got another brand that you've probably not heard of, Full Aim. This model is their X5. It's a simple 2 microphone, 1 receiver setup that has never failed me on a job. I'll walk you through it. So magnetically, these microphones attach via clip or even magnet. They have USB-C for charging as well. And they have your power button and your settings button right there. And they even have a headphone jack where you can plug in a lavalier microphone. It comes with different adapters for your phone that allows you to plug the receiver directly into a Lightning iPhone or even regular USB-C as well. And here's the really cool thing. It comes with UV microphone cleaning lights inside the top. So when you close this, you can't actually see it. When you close it, it sanitizes these microphones with UV light. So you always got some fresh mics ready to go. Not only fresh in germ sense, but fresh in terms of battery, because of course it's a charging case as well, and it connects via USB-C. They automatically pair with each other, and you can monitor everything going on with the mics right from the screen that is on the receiver. You can see the battery level of the microphones and the input level, and you can even adjust and change the volume level for the microphones. Now, you don't get to individually control the volume of the microphone. So if you're doing a podcast or something like that and somebody's just exceptionally loud and the other person's kind of quiet, you don't get to change that. But guess what? You're on Nikon ZR now, and that means you got 32-bit float audio. And that's it. That rounds out all the gear that I take with me on a simple run and gun shoot with 1 or 2 people talking, and we're walking, moving. You need that steady footage. That's the gear that I trust. Let me know what you use down in the description below. I don't claim to have the best gear ever. Let me know what you got. And as always, I'll put links to everything I mentioned down in the description below, so you can go and get some goodies as well. And if you like content like this, hit the like button, subscribe, click the bell. See you next time.